Hi, this is Zibby Owens, and you're listening to the award-winning podcast, Moms Don't Have Time to Read Books. And speaking of books, I have two of my own books coming out this spring and summer. Princess Charming is a picture book, which debuts on April 19th, and Bookends, a memoir of love, loss, and literature, comes out on July 1st, and it is truly a labor of love. I hope you'll pre-order, order, and join me on tour as I go across the country. You can find out more at zibbyowens.com or bookendsmemoir.com. And you can follow me on Instagram at zibbyowens because I always post about everything. Enjoy the show. Kevin and Danielle Jonas are co-authors of There's a Rock Concert in My Bedroom. And yes, this is one of the Jonas Brothers. Kevin Jonas is a father, actor, investor, philanthropist, and 1/3 of Grammy-nominated multi-platinum pop band Jonas Brothers. He was born and raised in New Jersey, where he resides with his wife and two daughters, Alena and Valentina. Danielle Jonas is a mother, TV personality, actress, and founder and designer of jewelry company Danielle Jonas Co. She was also born and raised in New Jersey, where she resides with her husband and two daughters, Alena and Valentina, the same ones. So here you go. Get your kids to come listen. A Jonas Brother is on his way. Welcome, Kevin and Danielle. Thanks so much for coming on Moms Don't Have Time to Read Books to discuss your amazing children's book, There's a Rock Concert in My Bedroom.
Oh, thank you for having us.
Oh, it's my pleasure. So please tell listeners, what is your children's book about and why write this book?
Well, we wanted to do a children's book forever, and it only made more sense as our kids got a little older and we had children, which kind of helped the whole story. And we started to see like books that they were reading that they liked, but we've always wanted to encourage them in different ways. And one of the things that we deal with a lot is having to be in front of a lot of people. And then we saw it started to happen with our daughters as they were starting to do dance recitals, going to school, performances, and how those nerves could kick in sometimes. And so for us, this was just kind of a fun way to remind them that it's about having fun. When our daughter, Alena, had a dance recital, she actually got like super in her head. She practiced like every day, even after the rehearsals, and kind of stopped having fun with it. And I think then we turned off the noise in her head in a way and just kind of created a family dance party. And it kind of helped her just remember to have a good time.
So fun.
Yeah. So this kind of emulates that in a capacity.
Mm-hmm.
I think our family dance parties might do the opposite thing. Nobody should see our family dance parties.
I know, that's not ours either.
No, but that's the whole point, right? That's the whole thing. It's just it's completely letting loose, like, and not even caring. And I think sometimes you can get in your own way. If I can do it, you can do it. We all can do it. So it's about having a good time.
It's also a good tool to have because both of them are so different that like our oldest Alena will tell us, how she feels, if she's nervous, if things are going on in school, whereas our youngest Valentina, she doesn't. So using the books to like get that conversation going is good. Like we'll read something and then I'll be like, hey, do you ever feel this way at school? Or does anybody make you feel like this? And then she kind of opens up. But if I ask her when she comes home from school, like, hey, you doing good? She's like, yeah, Mom. I'm like, come on.
What's really going on?
Yeah.
Literally, sometimes I'm like, tell me like one thing from school. That's it. Just, you must have learned something. Something must have happened.
Yeah, tell us one thing. We actually started doing that at dinner, which has been really wonderful. You tell us the worst, not the worst, but tell us the bad part of your day and the best part.
Yes, we do that too. We do best and worst, and then most challenging, and time you laugh the hardest.
Yeah. Time you laugh the hardest. Oh, I like that one.
Oh, I like that.
And it really does allow them to really bring out the conversation around dinner time. And so for us, it works really well.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know when it shifts. I feel like when people ask me, I'm like, I go on forever. I'm like, here's what happened in my day. Let me explain. Like, I don't know when it shifts, but oh my goodness. So do either of you, or did your daughters have the Lucky Charms? Like, was that something that was given to you as advice, or just you?
Oh my gosh. That was definitely something when we were talking about the book. They always have things that they give to each other.
Mm-hmm.
For some reason, they're always making each other bracelets or necklaces, or like our oldest writes cards to everyone in their family. Like she wanted to make Valentine's this year for, I think, like 100 people, including their dogs.
Uh-huh.
So like, it's always about, she always wants to do something special, and they really are, not tooting our own horn, but they really do think about others a lot, and which makes us really happy.
They had their first day school, and they had a necklace that was broken in half. It said "Big Sister, Little Sister," and they both put it in their backpacks. So they do those little things to like have those little reminders. He also has a reminder on stage.
Right.
So like there's different things that we like to do.
All right. So what's your reminder on stage?
Well, so it's funny. My guitar picks, I actually have one because we're in our little office here, but mine has our initials like K and D. You can't really see it. K and D on it. So every night I've got my family with me.
That's so sweet. What if you're in like a fight? You just like toss it to the side and
I just keep throwing it at the audience. Actually, I really try not to be. That's one thing. It's like kind of going. People always say like, "Don't go to bed angry." It's like I try really hard not to go on stage angry.
Yeah. I feel like anytime you're doing something creative and there's too much emotion packed in there, it always seeps out, whether you're cooking.
No matter what. Like you just can't get out of your head. You can't get out of your own way. And so I understand that feeling big time.
Well, next Valentine's Day, if your daughter wants to wants to make some extra money, I'm happy to have her help my kids, because it was like pulling teeth to do all the Valentines for all the kids in all the classes, each one individually. So if she wants to make 100 Valentines, I'm in.
Start our own little business on the side.
That'd be amazing.
One thing that struck me about your book is, just how important family is in helping people each member of the family get over their own challenges, whether it's stage fright or whatever it is, and how it was so great that in the book, the whole family really bonds together. But I feel like that's so often not the case, right? There are all these kids who don't have the luxury of a tight-knit family, or just people who totally love them and support them and will do anything, and yet they have to somehow muster up these inner resources to get through situations like this. And maybe they end up not what do we say to kids like that, or people who maybe don't have the parents who have all these incredible tools, or the little love note that the mom leaves or something like that, I mean, that's...
Yeah.
We definitely thought about that while writing this book, and obviously we wanted to share some of like our personal story in that, so not necessarily exactly what you're saying, but I think for people like that, we definitely grew up in a way where at a certain point we were still young in, the entertainment business, right?
Mm-hmm,
and you're just instantly doing things on our own and kind of had to grow up very fast. And I think you take lessons that you learn from a lot of different places with you. One of the first things I learned was not from my parents about my work career and my life, which was don't, look at the people that you admire and learn from their mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a huge lesson for me. It's like, wow, yeah, because sometimes they've been through it, they know more, and it doesn't always have to be your parents, because parents don't always have the answers.
What do you mean? Of course they do.
We're always right.
I mean, not my parents, but me, I mean.
Yeah, exactly.
So what was it like collaborating to write the book together? Was that really fun? Like, what was that process like for the two of you?
I always like doing things with him, and like down to the TV show, and then even working on our homes together and stuff. So doing something like this, and when he brought it to me and we started discussing it, it was actually exciting because we get to be together and, just, I don't know.
I love projects that we can do this together. My life does take me away and travel. And so sometime when we can do a little project together, it really, it's another way for us to connect.
Everybody's like, all my friends are like, oh, you like to talk to your husband? Like, come on. I'm like, oh my God.
Turns out we actually like each other.
It's so convenient when that happens,
Oh, I know.
Yeah. That's great. I have a children's book coming out too, actually in April. And I feel like people think thank you. It's so easy to do, but it's really not. Like, you have to be really aware of how many pages there are and what goes on what page. And, did you find that to be a challenge? Tell me about what that was like.
Yeah, there was definitely some things we wanted to put in. And then, we did come to there was like a crossroad at one point in the book where like, do we need the charm? Do we not need the charm? Like, is that taking away from the story? But we always felt like that was something, it wasn't to take place of the thing you can do by yourself. It was just a reminder to people that love you. And I think so for us, that was always kind of like, it's important and fun. And I think for us, we have a great team around us. So it did make it maybe a touch easier, but the book as an overall, I just really loved making.
I think the pictures and stuff were hard for me because you want it to be cute enough and draw attention to a younger kid. So I had to I don't know.
You were very focused on their eyes. She really was. It was really interesting, how they looked and the eyes, and you're sensitive to those things. Like, she loves people. Like, when she meets someone, she'll really connect with them, depending on what their voice sounds like.
Yeah.
How's my
So-
voice doing? I don't know. I hope I'm okay.
Very good.
Very good. I could tell actually that you would like that.
Well, my daughter loved the outfits. So if you were, I don't know about the eyes or whatever, but the clothes were,
Yeah.
nailed
that's
it.
awesome.
A little extra,
There you go.
How do you feel? I mean, this is obviously you're a performer, right? And the book is about you're having your children sort of follow in your footsteps and tread the same path, whether it's stress inducing or not. How do you feel about if your daughters did want to be singers and all of that? Would you say no or yes? Or have you noticed talent?
It's so funny. I get this question probably the most out of any question.
I'm sorry to ask.
No.
Ask questions everybody asks.
It's interesting because it makes sense that people would be interested in that question. I think we've always talked about it like very similar to what my parents did, which was never pushed us to do this stuff. Like it was never forced upon us, but it was always supported. And if this is something that they wanted to do or have a passion, I would make sure they understand what kind of sacrifices it takes and the practice that, to get there and the work, how hard it is, right? But it would never be pushed upon them or forced in any capacity. I've seen and met too many stage parents to do that.
I bet. But if they wanted to do it, you wouldn't be like, no, don't ever try this.
No, but I would definitely push them to understand what it all means and explain to them some of the challenges with it. It's not all. It might look easy for dad now, but it wasn't always that way.
Mm-hmm.
And how do your kids, now that they're getting older, how do you feel? I mean, I was watching some of your earlier days of your show together and like your dad coming over and you dealing with that. And,
That hasn't changed, but that's cool. We like it.
Oh my gosh, so funny. Planning out the dinner party and
exactly.
And all that. So do your kids, what do they make of it when they get to watch their parents sort of navigate in-law relationships and all of that on YouTube or whatever? It's bad enough that we have it on like home movies.
Yeah, we haven't. I don't think they've even seen the show, have they?
No, they did, but they had no interest in it.
Oh.
It was kind of like, okay,
Yeah.
We're kind of finding that like they're getting a little bit more sensitive with going to concerts and being involved in that way, which is kind of funny to watch them through it because they've kind of grew up with it and grew up with him being, on stage or getting attention in some ways. And they got a little weird this tour where they kind of were like, people are watching us, like what do we do? And why are they watching us? And we had to like try to like kind of calm their nerves on like, everybody loves you and wants to wish you well and want to like see you do things that are great and and just they want to be a part of our family and you should feel so happy that people are rooting for you and things like that and trying to make them feel comfortable about it.
Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, you guys, I mean this in the nicest way. You seem like totally normal parents, right? Do you know what I mean? Like you seem like anybody else who would be at drop off or pick up or whatever, and yet you have like this whole other life, right? So how do you?
Yeah, it is hard to balance sometimes, for sure. Like you definitely walk into moments where you're like, cool. Like our daughter's first day of school last, before the pandemic began, I was finally back on tour and I was in a different state, and so I actually took our tour bus overnight to get to home so I could wake up for her first day of school, and then had to leave directly after to get to the show that night. So like, I want to try to be there we both do. We want to try to be there for the moments that are important, but there are definitely times where it's like, well, I also have to be in two places at once.
Yeah.
What are some of the books that you like to read to the girls?
A lot of like conversational ones, to be honest, like getting angry and like what to do. Yeah, like very themed ones, just because it does help them like connect to their emotions. And I find that they have the hardest time with that right now, especially too, ever since the pandemic and all that. So that's
I think, what was it? Pop My Top?
That's what I was just
thinking. I can't remember exactly the book, but it was a while, and that one was great because our daughter she didn't know how to express her emotions at one point, and that one was like, we would remind her about the tools like that you learned in that book to calm yourself down, and really, I think that's the whole reason for these books, right? Yes, they're entertaining and they're fun, but there's, there is a message and there is a learning environment in them, and I think that's what we all get out of books, but specifically with children's picture books.
Yeah.
I was literally just telling someone the other day, I was like, yeah, when I was a little girl, I remember my mom gave me a book that was called like Managing Your Ups and Downs because, I always had like moods and they were like, she just gave you a book. And I was like, I love to read. It's okay.
It helped.
It helped. I don't know. They're managed enough, I guess. So are there more children's books collaborations between the two of you in your future?
I would definitely hope so. Definitely think so. We are just really excited about this one coming out, and it's definitely a project that's been going on for a long time. So like 3-4 years. So it's nice to see it finally coming to fruition.
Did the pandemic set it back? And like, what was?
Actually, no. It actually kind of helped us get it done. Yeah. Because we were home together, so it kind of allowed us to like kind of focus on getting some of these projects done.
Mm-hmm. And then just one more question on the guitar piece of it. I know in the book, Emma would just like to play and she was thrumming and strumming and, experimenting. There's such a pressure, I feel like, to get your kids guitar lessons, voice lessons, like have everything very structured. So what's your sort of philosophy on that with your kids or with kids in general who want to grow up to be singers? Should they do those classes? Should you just let them play on the instruments? What do you think?
I think I come from a different place a little bit. I was actually self-taught. So I was home sick from school. I had strep for like 3 weeks and I was so bored of whatever was on TV. So parents had a guitar in the house and a teach yourself guitar book. Literally, that was the name of it. And that's how I started to learn. I just picked that up. And after about a week, I then faked being sick to stay home and keep working on the guitar.
Wow.
It turned out that paid off. I don't advise that to children listening. But at the same time, our daughter really wants to learn piano right now, but somehow we let her like really play around with the piano for a while just to see if like that would break interest, just playing around, not really being structured. And it has not broken. She's really interested in it. And it's about finding interesting ways, especially now with technology. Like there are so many cool app programs that you can do that kind of gamify it all a little bit. And I think that's a really cool and special way to start. If you're worried that they're not going to take it too serious or it's going to become a burden, or that they're going to come and regret it. I do find that the arts and music is super important for child development and growth. And it was in our house all the time. My brother was 8 years old when he did his first Broadway show. So like, that's my daughter working in the city every single night. I don't know if that would work for me in my brain right now, but at the same time, he loved it. He didn't go on a family vacation because he wanted to not miss any shows. Like that was what he loved, right? So if it's inside you, it'll come out,
I love that. So great. Do you have any advice to aspiring picture book authors?
I think just find your story and stick with it, and find a community. Our brother-in-law is Danielle's sister's husband, has been wanting to write children's books for so long. He actually is working. I think he just sold his first one, which is incredible. And he found these literary groups where they would like work on their writings together and like, get notes as like from peers, which we're all trying to do the same thing, which I think was really helpful. So maybe communities like that would really help people as they're starting out.
Yeah.
Amazing. Is there anything that you wish you'd known when you were your daughter's age that as parents, just any one piece of advice? I know it's a big question, but.
I guess I wish that I knew that everybody went through similar things, like being nervous about public speaking or other things, but I wish that like my brain really like took that in and that I wasn't the only one.
You were not alone.
Yeah.
That's good advice. That's good advice for now, for grownups.
1,000%. And I think that's why this is so fun for us, because the book is something we can all relate to. Even as parents, as you're reading it, you're kind of like, yeah, I've been there before. Mm-hmm. Whether it's a presentation at work, whether it's, literally being on stage like myself.
Yeah. Well, now you have this book to get you through. So hopefully that will help you.
Power on.
Well, thank you so much. It was lovely meeting you guys. Sorry for the interruption with my kids the whole time.
No, I loved it. It makes us feel like it's our house. We totally get it.
Okay. All right. Well, best of luck with the book.
Thank you. Congratulations on yours as well.
Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Moms Don't Have Time to Read Books. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Zibby Owens and at Moms Don't Have Time to Read Books. Also sign up for my newsletter at zibbyowens.com and sign up for my virtual book club and meet lots of authors on Zoom every other week. Thanks so much to Steve and Ryan at Texture Sound for the sound editing. And thank you to Morning Moon Productions for providing this fantastic intro and outro music.